alongside Inside Carolina's Greg Barnes. I'm Ross Martin. We're here to talk about the 2018-19 basketball schedule. All the non-conference opponents have been released and the dates, Greg. And just looking at it right now, what are the maybe 2-3 main things that stick out from this non-conference schedule for basketball?
Well, I think when you look at the beginning of the schedule, very interesting that Roy elected to go on the road for the first 2 games. Elon opening up the new facility for those guys, and then of course opening it at Wofford. And so the fact that Roy is willing to travel for one in those types of games, but also to really help the programs that are based either within the state or of course with Wofford being a little bit down in South Carolina. I think that's a very neat development. And then again, Roy Williams is big on scheduling tough. ACC schedule is tough enough. And so we've got 18 ACC games. I know we're moving to 20, but the fact that he still has some very tough games. I mean, you're talking Gonzaga, Kentucky, probably going to play in Michigan State, Texas, or UCLA, 2 of those 3 out in Vegas. It's a lot of big names, and then his willingness to travel a little bit makes this a very interesting non-conference schedule. So
it kicks off on November 6th at Wofford, and then Elon, and then the home openers against Stanford, playing Jared Haas to open up the 2018-19 schedule in the Dean Dome. And kind of the next big opponent after Stanford is Michigan State, Texas, or UCLA in Las Vegas. Any notes about those 3 teams, or what you know about what the Tar Heels are going to face down there in the desert?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, you talk Michigan State, and yes, they had a lot of adversity this year. They lose the Bridges kid, but a lot of those guys are coming back. Very talented, so that for sure will be a top 10, top 15 type team. Texas lost the big guy, but they've recruited well in Shaka. UCLA has done a very good job recruiting wise. So all those games will be tough, regardless of who they play.
Yeah, and that's a Thanksgiving weekend kind of tournament there. They'll play 2 games there. We don't know the exact opponents. So it'll be one of those, 2 of those 3 teams. Then an ACC Big Ten Challenge opponent, which has not been named yet. And then kind of there's some really interesting games. They have UNC Wilmington, again, CB McGrath in the Dean Dome. And then they have Gonzaga at home, Kentucky in Chicago for the CBS Sports Classic, and then Davidson, Harvard. Obviously with that, the two teams that kind of stick out is Gonzaga and Kentucky.
Yeah, and the fact that Gonzaga is traveling across the country, North Carolina will do that, I guess maybe next year. It's really neat. I mean, Mark Few is one of the best coaches in the business. Of course, they played in the title game 2 years ago. So that's a big time opportunity for both these teams to be able to kind of put up a showcase game between 2 programs that unless they play in the NCAA tournament, which they've done a couple times, they don't ever see each other. So that's a very unique middle of December game that people can look forward to. And then of course Kentucky's Kentucky. Yeah,
and of course remember the Classic against Kentucky in the 2017 tournament.
Right.
And then even before that in Las Vegas for the CBS Sports Classic there that December. So 2 really good games kind of in mid to late December there for the Tar Heels. A very tough schedule. UNC always plays a tough out-of-conference schedule and always seems to help them come March with strength of schedule, and again, the RPI should be really high for the Tar Heels. That is the 2018-19 non-conference schedule for the Tar Heels. For Greg Barnes, I'm Ross Martin.